So far for January, I've been keeping up on my book a week pace, but as a result, I've been obviously going through quite a few books. It's surprising how many you can go through if you just commit to reading just a little bit at each one every night. As with last month, I decided to add a classic book in the mix. This month, I decided to go with The Count of Monte Cristo. I liked the movie, but in my experience, the books are typically better, so I figured I'd give the book a try and see how different they are. And again, with the classics, if I can, I try to get the Eastern Press edition just because there's something about reading an old classic book with a leather-bound, luxurious edition of it. And as with Don Quixote, the Eastern Press version of The Count of Monte Cristo is the same high quality you would have come to expect from them. This one, however, surprisingly enough, was a little bit more expensive than Don Quixote. I think I spent about $70-80 for it. But it looks great on my bookshelf next to my other leather-bound books. And like I said, since it's a classic, I'm a little bit more likely to spend a little bit extra on a book that I plan on keeping for many years. The same high-quality paper. The inside, again, is illustrated with the sketches. This one's done a little bit differently than Don Quixote. Instead of having full pages, it kind of splices in the images right in the middle of the text, which is kind of a nice look. And as with Don Quixote, it does give a little bit of information in the beginning about Alexander Dumas and his life, so I'm really looking forward to that one. Next on my list is a book on radiation. I was traveling again for work, and as I'm going through the airport, there was a woman who refused to be scanned by the airport machine, so she had to be patted down on the side, and her reason that she had told the security guard was she didn't want to be exposed to needless radiation. Now at first I kind of thought she was nuts, but then started to think, I don't really know anything about radiation. She could be totally right. I could be just giving myself a dose of cancer every time I travel and not even know it. But that's what books are for. So I bought a book on radiation. That's the great thing about books. Anytime you have a question about any subject, chances are there is dozens upon dozens of books written on that subject. And often that'll lead you to yet more books, because chances are, if you're like me, the more you learn, the more questions you have. The next book I got is a fun one. I've heard good things about it. Friends of mine kept recommending it. I ended up buying it when I was walking around the bookstore just because, to be honest, I like the cover. I like the simpleness of it. I like the classic font, which was popular inside of Pac-Man machines, and it reminded me of being a kid in a laundromat with my dad, getting a handful of quarters and blowing them all in the Pac-Man machine. So I got the book. Looking forward to it. I've heard it's kind of a nerdy book, which should be perfect for me. The next book was recommended to me also by a friend, Ship of Theseus. It's a book that was conceived by J.J. Abrams, and he hired some author to write it. And inside of this book, when I opened it up, the first thing I noticed is that it's designed to look like a used library book. And as you pull it out of the slipcase, you see the pages are stained, the inside is stuffed full of napkins with writing on it, old handwritten notes also authentically with stains on them. And the margins is basically a separate story written between two people who keep checking the book in and out and then writing back and forth to each other. You can see with the two different handwriting who is saying what. And basically this book is two stories intertwined, one on the narrative on the margins and one which is the story itself. So I'm looking forward to that one. It's something a little bit different than just a regular book. Leave it to J.J. Abrams to think of something that unique. And finally, the last one I got, I don't actually have the physical copy yet, but I did pre-order it. This will probably be the first one that I review. Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman, of course, is a very popular author. I've read a few other of his books, so I'm looking forward to this one. But as I said, I just pre-ordered it, so I should be getting it, I think, on the 7th is when it's supposed to be delivered. Let me know what you guys think. If you've read any of these books, what you thought of them. If you own the Eastern Press edition, please subscribe, and thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.